can do anything you want. I ain't got no problem with it. I promise you that shit.
Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. No, come find me. No, come find me. Listen to the words. Come find me. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off.
I ain't hard guy to find. I promise you that
Golly,
shit.
I'm glad I did that. Listen to the words. Garbage, a joke, clown acts, pisses me off. Thank God for a mic check. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Monday evening. Welcome in to NBR, as we like to call it around here. Nothing but rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. Like this one right here. Hey, proof of concept is defined as evidence with which demonstrates that a design or concept is feasible and works. So what the heck does this mean, right? So, prime example in college football. What is an example of proof of concept, Brooks? When Georgia goes 10 games through the regular season, scoring 40.6 points per game, and we're on this network saying, yo, hey, guys, leading the SEC in yards per play, I think third overall in the country in said statistics, like super efficient. I think fourth overall in team scoring, right? We're telling you all of these things midway through the season. They seem to have gotten the red zone worries kind of cleared out. I think they've climbed up all the way to like the mid-20s, late 20s in that red zone touchdown to field goal kind of ratio, right? Scoring percentage, basically, how many points you're scoring per possession in the red zone. They had climbed up those rankings week 7 through about 10, basically up until the last week. They had kind of cleared up all the offensive woes. We've been talking about it, guys. They had proof of concept, not only that last year they had a national championship winning offense, eventually got there, credit to the defense, we all know that, right? But could score in times when needed. They had proof of concept that they could do that last year. But through 10 games, wow, elite offense. We're sitting here talking about it, right? We're raving about it. Okay, and then they go up, right, to Lexington, Kentucky, and 20-mile-an-hour winds, 32-degree day, colder than all get out, right? Kentucky, by the way, don't know if you guys knew this. I mean, we didn't really do a good enough job. I'll give you credit doing a good enough job kind of talking up Kentucky's defense. Top 25 defense in college football. It's got some NFL guys over there, right? Some dudes that can really stack the box, stop the run, and they hold you to 16 points on a measly 9 possessions. Had 3 total possessions in the first half. I think it took up 3 minutes on 2 of those 3 possessions, right? So, like, really didn't have an opportunity to score it. And even when you did, you kind of looked anemic, right? We all know that. And you didn't really throw the football. Kind of couldn't. Why? Super cold, wind, howling. All right? And think about this, Georgia fans, right? Take this game aside. Think about this. When we started the season, this is going to sound crazy, but when we started the season, we always do bold predictions, right? We always do these hot takes, whatever, where we come out as analysts and we tell you this is how we think the season is going to shake out. And one of my bold predictions, I thought this could pass as a bold prediction because you hadn't done it under Kirby Smart's tenure. Think about this. It's bold to come out here and say preseason that Georgia's going to average over 40 points per game on offense. I was like normal for elite offenses. Like Ohio State's averaged that for the last 5 years, I think. Like Lincoln Riley's offenses have been averaging that. Hell, like the national championship offenses not named Georgia have basically averaged like 48 points per game. I think LSU was close to 50. Like some of these teams are really racking it up. So it's like a mild take, but for Georgia standards, that's hot. 40 points, that's sexy. 41 points, unless you're Mike Bobo, 41 points will get you like, I don't know, $3 million a year. 40 points a year or 40 points a game will get you the Broyles Award, semifinalist, Todd Monken. That's what it'll get you. And through 10 games, that's what it was. And so for one game, they go up to Kentucky and not to do the, I hate these takes, but they are real in situations like this. Not to do the trust me, I was there card. Not going to pull the trust me, I was there card out, but we're going to do it. Okay. We're going to pull that one out. I was there. And so was legendary photographer Rob Say, who let's take his word. Okay. Because this is a guy who, I mean, he shot photos for Herschel Walker. All right. Not like long time, been there, been that in terms of a legendary, been taking photos. Your favorite photos of Georgia football players, Rob probably took them. And I'm sitting there talking to him in the third quarter, teeth chattering, talking about, boy, it sure is cold, Rob. And he looks at me square in my face. He's not hyperbole. He's not like exaggerating. Coldest game I've ever been. Coldest game I've ever shot for the University of Georgia. It was really, really cold. And it was really, really cold because it was really, really windy. That stadium is not super tall in Lexington. Those winds get in there and they stay in there. There are 4 tunnels, one on each corner, and they are wide open. There are no buildings outside of it. So when the wind is blowing out there, it is blowing through and in and out the field. It is it is so cold. All right. Again, not to be I was there, but I'm telling you, it was cold and the wind was really, really bad. All right. So also on the other end, guys, there was a first round draft pick in that football game playing quarterback. Supposedly he will get drafted this year. And I don't know what it looked like on TV, but I saw it on the sideline, and I asked 2 of my buddies that were in the stands too. Shouts out Stoddard and Jay Will. All right. What did those footballs look like from Will Levis? The 40-yard, 50-yard completions that got behind Kamar Lassiter and Chris Smith. What did they look like from the stands? Because from the sideline, those things looked like they were flailing the entire time. The moment he let it out of his hands, the moment it got up past 10 feet, it was just woo, like ball doing all kinds of crazy stuff and ultimately dying on people. The ball that Stetson threw for an interception, that ball got knocked down by something because like nobody came back to it except for the defender. So like all of these things are happening. The wind's whipping and wailing and all of these excuses for why the offense looked like they did. Red zone rushing deep offense could have been much better. You could have executed a much higher clip. I'm not even going to flex on you on that one, right? You definitely could have ran the football better in the red zone. Great red zone offenses run the football in the red zone. Y'all didn't do that great on Saturday, as evidenced by the 4th and 1 stop, right? But outside of that, it wasn't like you had a terrible day in an otherwise, pretty nasty conditions. Again, considering how much they were limiting the possessions. Look, I don't necessarily love the fact that the standard for and I get it. The standard is a standard. He created it. Kirby Smart, that being. I mean, it's a standard of excellence. It's a standard of almost perfection. It's almost what it seems like the timeline. And I know Twitter's not the greatest thing to be taking the temperature of the fan base on, but it's my biggest avenue to you guys outside of these comments right here, right? You guys on Twitter and you guys in the Discord, what the temperature of the room is tells me kind of who you are as a fan base. That's the only thing I can judge it off of. And I don't love that the new standard for the program is that every time you have a singular rough half against Missouri, or you go playing an elements type of football game that's a real physical SEC grinder, and all of a sudden you don't look like, a 40-point offense, a 41-point offense that's throwing it 35 times a game and putting up, the Oregon type of performances. Like, I don't love that the first time that happens, or the 2 times that happens this year, everyone wants to go to Twitter and talk about how mediocre the offensive performance is, or worse, how mediocre the play calling is. I don't know what happened to my voice there. I know what happens. We'll talk about it here in a second. I don't love that, right? I don't love how one week we could be 41 points, top 5 offense. What the hell? Why is nobody talking about Georgia's offense? What the hell? Why is nobody talking about Stetton the Heisman? And then the next week they play in 21-mile-an-hour winds, and everybody's like, to hell with this. Georgia's offense is a fraud again. Like, what? Stop. All right, just chill out. All right, it was an ugly one. All right, and it looked a lot like, from a distance on the TV, I would imagine, it looked a lot like one of the most passionate, and I mean passionate, takes I've ever had, guys. I stand true. I'm very, very proud of this take that we're about to reconvene back onto your memory right here, particularly for those of you who have been on this network for a long, long time. All right. One of my most passionate takes I've ever done doing this job on these cameras in this studio. I think it was actually upstairs in the office upstairs, but behind the Sports Illustrated backdrop. I was livid as an analyst in 2020 when, I don't know why I said it that way, 2020, when you guys went up to Kentucky, sunny cloud day, like sunny outside. I think it was Halloween or the weekend before Halloween, whatever. It was 2 weeks before Florida, right? I always remember it because Richard LeCount came home and got injured, right, in his motorcycle accident. But super sunny skies. I think it was 55 degrees. Beautiful day. Y'all go up there and run that sun gun 43 times. You throw it 14. And for no apparent reason, you just take the air out the ball and you just say, we're going to win it today like this because this is how we're going to win it today. And I was very, very critical because I knew in 2 weeks, at that point, you had no proof of concept that you could play 2 weeks from then and beat that Florida team that was putting up, I don't know, 385 yards in the first half of passing against you. And we all knew Kyle Pitts and Kyle Trask. Say what you want about the Gators and Mullen. We knew they were going to light that butt up defensively because of how banged up you were. And here we were watching your offensive coordinator and your head coach and your quarterback and your whole system sit on the rock, take the air out the ball, and win a game 14-3 because they knew they could. Well, guess what? They know they can win a game 16-6 now, and they know they can score 7 straight possessions against what is apparently a really good Oregon football team. Do you understand what I'm trying to get here? You have a proof of concept now. You have reasons to believe, like verified reasons to believe, that when your football team is taking the air out the rock, it's not because they can't score 40 or that they can't throw it 32 times or that they can't, have 550 total yards of offense like they did against Florida. It's not that they can't do these things. It's that in that game, the best path to victory and safest path to victory is to take the air out the rock. All right. So when Georgia does it, everybody does Georgia might be vulnerable. But when Ohio State's in Northwestern and it's 30-degree winds as opposed to 25 or 20 or whatever the shit it was, everybody gives it a bunch of excuses. And I'm not doing the he's just a Georgia beat reporter guy. I'm doing the here's one game, 32, 25 mile an hour winds against the SEC opponent, top 25 defense, 16 points, had to run the football to get out of there, pretty much controlled it the whole time, like was never really in a threat to lose the football game. Northwestern Ohio State had to run it to get it out of there, winds whipping, cold. Same football games, identical. All right, Georgia's had one of those. Ohio State and the Big Ten seem to have one of them a lot. They're starting to stack them up. Right? Ohio State had another one of them this weekend against Maryland, right? Michigan had another one of them this weekend against Illinois or whoever it was. Bielema going to hell or going to the press conferences, ripping the hell out of the referees. My God. Welcome into NBR, nothing but rants. I put it in the show notes. I knew I was going to break a record. Longest opening rant, no doubt. I mean, we didn't even give you no nonsense. We rolled right through it. Hit that like button while I take a swig right here. I knew this one was going to be a risky one. We got too late into the show prep to really sit down, chill, and drink a nice 10-ounce normal cup of coffee. So we had to take that double shot and just straight to the head. Double shot espresso. So we're wired to the gills. Glad you guys are here today. Hit that thumbs up button while you're here. Yeah, man, I said it on Twitter. If you're one of these people that takes to Twitter or takes to social media or tells your friends that your football program has to win with style points, you're not flipping Boise State. You're not. All right. So win how you can win and show that you can win in a multitude of facets, right? Because that's what it really requires. I mean, I know that when you get into playoff environments nowadays in college football, soon to be home field advantages in the winter. A lot of those games are going to be cold, by the way. Don't care if you're even in the South. Y'all been outside. Y'all, when it comes to December, January, 12-team playoffs, first round, home team gets top seed gets a home game. It's gonna be cold in Athens. All right, but nonetheless, these games you might have to start winning them ugly in future seasons. Georgia under Kirby Smart has shown a variety of paths to victory, whereas I think some other programs might struggle if they're limited on certain aspects. Tennessee, we got to get you on a neutral field. Right? The whole thing, right? Georgia doesn't seem to have those flaws. A lot of that's because they're a well-rounded football team. Again, welcome in. We got a loaded show for you guys tonight. Want to give a shout out to the sponsor, thegramco.com. Promo code Brooks25 will get you 25% off today. We also have, we're going to have some film this week. I want to take a look at just the red zone execution. I know Kirby talked about it a lot. Saturday after the game. We're going to take a look at that this week on Patreon over there. So if you want to check out some all 22, patreon.com/Brooks Austin. That link's in the bio and description of the YouTube video. But yeah, got a super loaded show for you guys tonight. We're going to talk about that big win, okay? I thought the obviously the biggest storyline to me in college football this weekend was South Carolina and Shane Beamer taking down that Tennessee squad. So we'll talk about that big win. And, I love Shane Beamer, but let's talk about what it means for the SEC East kind of division and, slate. That program is legit, or at least ran by a professional. We will talk about what that means because I do want to give him his flowers. I think he's a good football coach, and he's got some ties to your beloved program. I know a lot of people watching tonight are obviously Georgia fans. So we'll obviously talk about clean old-fashioned hate, if that's what you guys want to call it. I'm going to call it dead, and we'll tell you why. And then we'll talk about who's great in college football. I don't know what Elon was doing with the Twitter algorithms, but Twitter was hot this weekend, particularly one of my tweets about a top 12. I basically said, we don't have 4 great football teams in college football. And yeah, let's just go on to 12 because that's the obvious move, right? If you don't have 4 good ones, let's go try to find 12 good ones, right? We'll talk about it more as the show moves on. We'll close tonight's show with that. I kind of want to freelance that one. I didn't really write those down because I've already got my preconceived notions as to why this sport is great, okay? And people will tell me that, expanding the playoff won't change those things. I call boo hockey. I call absolute boo hockey because we've seen it play out, particularly in the professional sporting world and even the college sporting world. So appreciate you guys for being here tonight, man. Good stuff. I, like your football coach, I'm not going to say, he's banged up, but Buddy was playing the press conference today, with turf toe for sure, was fighting through it. Was gutting it out, had to get both ankles taped. All right. Definitely was playing with some type of back brace. If you heard Kirby, yeah, his voice sounded like he was in 19-degree wind chill screaming for 5 hours on Saturday. And if you hear me today, it sounds like I was mouth breathing, particularly in 20-degree wind chill on Saturday for 6 hours. Because, hey, again, not to do I was there. It was cold as shit. It was so cold. Buy new wardrobe cold. All right. Oh, all you got to do is layer. No, cold. All right. So yeah, we're all under the voice box weather. All right. Particularly us professional, semi-professional broadcasters that sit in here with no reprieve and try to run that mouth of mine for a good 30 minutes to an hour. So appreciate you guys being here. If I sound like my voice cracks or if I sound like I'm dying on a vine, it's probably because I am and I got nobody to help me. Shouts out Bomani Jones. Yeah, let's get on it. Told you we got all kinds of different show topics tonight. It's been a while since we've done NBR, has it? I think it was last week. Let's talk about those Gamecocks, man. I think it's important to know, like I told you, I think Shane Beamer coached football teams. Okay, he will always be able to take the lesser thans, like the not so goods, the not greats, and make them play above their wage. Okay. And that's a very, very, very important management skill, particularly in college football coaches, that aren't going to be able to recruit at a top 5 level annually. If Shane Beamer just sneaks his way into a top 5 class one year, give that dude the recruiting champion crown of the century. Okay. It's really, really hard to recruit at an upper echelon level there unless you happen to have the number 1 player in the history of America in Jadeveon Clowney sitting right in your back door. All right, Marcus Lattimore at the same time. If those guys so happen to be in similar classes, yeah, you can recruit at an elite level, Steve Spurrier. But historically, that is not a program where we're going to be stacking bread. All right, it's not going to be one of them. That's going to be a program where you got to take lesser thans and make them play like A pluses, right? You got to be able to take A minuses, make them play like A pluses, 100% at that program. But there's 100% enough talent in that area, that South Carolina area, that North Carolina area, that DMV area, that Nicholas Harbor area, that Maryland area, that Washington, D.C. area. That area is a very fruitful environment for recruiting. 100%. There's 1,000% enough talent there to be a 7, 8, 9-win football team perennially in the SEC East, even with Georgia being a monster. There is enough talent in that area as long as there is a professional football coach there. And I think Shane Beamer is 100% a professional football coach. I think we get that just from what we've seen. The sample size is too big at this point to watch them show up with lesser thans, okay, against programs that they're beating and play better, right? They're basically, I had my buddy of mine, Evan Crowell. He's an elite writer. You should follow him on Twitter. You probably know him in the Georgia space if you follow us heavily on Dogs Daily. But I was talking to him today, and he was telling me they're basically going to be a 7-win football team. We have a chance to be a 7-win football team. They're a bowl eligible football team based off of essentially showing up every week and great special teams. That's all they got. They had one good week from Spencer Rattler offensively. The rest of it's been anemic, and they've just managed to just scrape and claw and just get after it, right? And just find ways to win. And eventually, I think they will cross over and become something. Now, here's your question, right? At what point does something become a problem, right? Will it ever become a problem to you, Georgia fan, watching this tonight? No, I don't think it ever becomes a problem to you. And here's why. In order to have national success, like go compete for SEC championships. And I'm not talking about year in, I'm talking about year in and year out, not, oh, Georgia had a catastrophic quarterback injury and boom, like that happens in college football every once in a while, right? Those things, a couple upsets, major injury, boom. So all of a sudden Georgia's a 2-loss team. South Carolina managed to get through an easy schedule. All of a sudden into the SEC championship game, maybe that happens. But in terms of a sustained success, in order to do it on a national landscape level, you're going to have to beat Georgia in recruiting battles. Because here's why. Clemson can come into Atlanta and take every single player that Georgia doesn't want. That's basically Dabo Swinney's recruiting strategy. Go look at it. In 2023, and I'm not here to disparage a lot of those football players from this Atlanta area, but some of those guys don't even have Georgia offers, right? Some of those committable guys in that class right now never received offers from the University of Georgia. They're going to go to Clemson, and Clemson can win that conference, the ACC, with players from this state that Georgia didn't want. And occasionally they can beat Georgia for the Barrett Carters. They can beat Georgia for the Vic Burleys. But really, all they got to do is just kind of sit around and just kind of, oh, he's great. They didn't have room for him. Oh, whew, they missed this guy. Oh, we love this guy. Let's take him. They didn't really like this guy for their system, but he's really, really good, plays competitive football. Snag, right? Like, that's happening a lot at Clemson. Can South Carolina take those players? 100%. But are they going to turn around and win the SEC East or win the SEC with those football players? No, because Clemson can't come into the SEC and win the conference or the division with those players right now. You don't believe that, do you? Because they can barely get through the ACC right now with that recent recruiting strategy, because that's what it's been. If they don't have a historic, transcendent quarterback from the state of Georgia, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, then they just got a whole bunch of players from the state of Georgia or around the South Carolina area that Georgia wasn't really interested in, or they might have beat Alabama out for, or maybe they got a run at from North Carolina. You see what I'm saying? Different echelon of football player and a different echelon of conference that it requires to win in said conference when it comes to talent acquisition. So can South Carolina be a problem? In the sense of 10-2, I think so, yeah. But until you start seeing Shane Beamer come down to West Forsyth High School and not just, oh my God, we almost got Oscar Delp. No, it's going to be, oh my God, we got Oscar Delp. And the year before we got Dylan Fairchild. And the next year we turned around and got Gunnar Stockton to stay. Like that, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's going to require bing, bang, boom. And then it's going to be like, oh, like South Carolina's a problem. Until then, they're just they're a great story. And that's what some programs are meant to be, guys. Like, you guys are blessed. You truly are. You are 100% blessed in the sense that your floor now is 11 wins. If you don't win 11 wins and have a chance to go to the SEC championship game or have a chance to be in that 4 or 5 seed, biting your nails in the last college football playoff rankings, you don't want it, right? That's not something that you're interested in. That is not a successful season. That is what you guys' new standard is. At other programs, it ain't like that. At other programs, it's, hey, man, It'd be great to win 10 wins. You have 10 wins that one time. That'd be awesome. Remember 2012? Wasn't that great? I think it was Jake Garcia. I don't know. I don't follow South Carolina that well. I'm just saying, you get what I'm saying. Like, a lot of programs don't have it like that. And, Clemson, again, they can come down here and take the players that South Carolina can take, and they can go win the ACC. And if they get their game plan right, they spend a month and got a great quarterback, they can beat somebody in a college football playoff, and they might have a chance to win a national title like they have in years past in one-game scenarios. But over a 10-game sample size in the SEC, man, it requires dudes, 4 and 5 stars over and over and over and over again. 7 years of it to stack consistent success in this conference, right? Like the University of Georgia has. Kevin Craig with a super sub here. Let's come talk about this. Come get you some great content. A win on the road in the SEC is invaluable for a long time to the long-time fans. Anybody that disagrees then can go pound sand. 100% right there. I said it on, like I said, style points are for losers, man. Style points are not for the number one team in college football. Style points are not for the team that has no questions. You're the only team in college football that has no questions left. You win out. You're the only one that truly controls their destiny. Like, yeah, we can say that about Ohio State, Michigan, but those are some big-ass tests left on their report card. Like, they got their semester is not even close to over. Holy smokes, it feels like it ain't even begun. They didn't even have a midterm. They walked in day one, and the syllabus said, hey, you got one test, pass, fail. That's it. One test, pass, fail. The rest of it is attendance grades. Literally, Michigan, all you got to do is show up. We'll rig that sucker. We'll make sure we never call it OPI. We'll make sure that there's a whole bunch of sketchy stuff going on in that football game to ensure that you get to that Ohio State game undefeated. I mean, good Lord. Oof. Good times. Speaking of Ohio State, Michigan, I think there's a rivalry game this week, and we got to be tight here. I think there's a rivalry game this week. Somebody told me there is. Georgia Tech. I think they won a couple games. So I'm not being disingenuous here. My sister is super smart. She's not going to talk for a living. She's going to actually go change the world and do smart things. She's going to graduate from Georgia Tech sometime soon. But, it took her 5 years, which is about right. Okay, for that level of education. But anyway, shouts out Bailey. But I'm not here to dog on him. But I just, man, this isn't. You guys harbor no hate for this football team, right? I've covered your football program for 4 years now. Now I know since things have changed and things have changed, there has been just some absolute ass whoopings over the last couple of years. But I thought Christian Kirby, a writer of ours on Dogs Daily, said it best today in an article that we released. Guys, did you know that Ohio State's won 17 out of the last 20 matchups against Michigan? They have, they don't win every game by a lot, but they have big brothered the hell out of the Wolverines for 2 decades. 2 decades. Think about how old that is. That can almost buy a drink. That's so long of pure dominance. The dominance is almost as long, just a little bit longer in the Georgia Tech quote unquote rivalry. But the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry is an actual rivalry. There is hatred. Those games are close every single year. It doesn't matter if one team's good, one team's great, one team's mid, one team's awesome. It doesn't matter, like Auburn, Alabama. It doesn't matter every year. It doesn't matter if Auburn shows up 6-5. They're going to fight their nuts off after Thanksgiving, and they got a chance to beat Alabama on Saturday. Like, we know that. Going to anything can happen in that football game, particularly if it's Jordan Hare. If it's in Jordan Hare. Despite the fact that Big Brother is in Tuscaloosa. We all know that. But that ain't even close to what's been going on lately in this one. And this was the words from the article. And again, I think you should go read it. It's on Dogs Daily today. It's almost 1,100 words worth of good, like, historical information as to why this isn't even like, and it's almost like just dead. It's almost done. Not coming back, no matter the hire, because of some of the things that are going outside of the football, just in terms of the spending and the dedication of football. And here's the quote: apathy. Georgia Tech fans just do not seem bothered by losing to Georgia anymore. And quite frankly, Georgia fans don't seem to be harvesting any hatred either. When I hear Georgia fans, when I hear you guys talk about Florida, you hate them. When I hear you talk and make fun of Dan Mullen, you guys were cutthroat, really cutthroat towards the wife. Y'all don't even know Billy. Y'all are ready to be, y'all ready to make fun of Billy every time they do something, right? When I hear you talk about, God dang, when Tennessee got good, oh man, woof, were you guys ready? Were you guys ready to absolutely murder anything with VOL in the Twitter handle? Y'all hate those people. Y'all despise them. Y'all don't like Auburn. Don't tell nobody. Seriously, I don't know how many people don't tell nobody. But I actually used to enjoy going to Jordan Hare as like a patron. I was like a media member. They stick you in the box windows next to the speakers. It's horrible. But as a stadium environment, college football, unbiased opinion, good stuff. They really get it done when it comes to the pageantry of college football. Auburn does it great. Georgia does it better. All right, I'm just telling you, it's fun. But y'all hate them toilet paper throwing mofos. Y'all don't give a damn about Tech. Y'all really don't. For my entire life, Tech has been laughing at Reggie Ball, Blair Walsh, Mark Richt, real sketchy that one time. They got Kirby year one, and then a whole bunch of just ass whippings. That's it. Ha, Reggie Ball. What the hell, Blair Walsh onside kick. Kirby year one, right? That's it. For 25 years, that's been this rivalry, and I really don't think you care. And tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. Please do. If I'm wrong, tell me. But this is no longer something that you guys care about. Now, you're going to show up because it's senior day, and that's what you do. You sell out Sanford, and that's what you do because you're great. But you're not going to care. You're absolutely not going to care. So there we go. It says Pickens wasn't a Tech fan. I don't think Pickens was a fan of that cornerback. And here's the other thing I know about George Pickens. George Pickens don't take no shit off nobody. Nobody. It could have been UMass out there. If that boy would have been talking reckless, George Pickens would have had to say something, and they would have had to do something. They would have had to talk about that action. So that's what that would have been. Georgia Tech, Tittawada Tech, it don't matter. It would have been about that action right there on that spot. Dude, guys, can we? I'm going to have to do the don't go to 12 takes for the rest of time. Can we just cut it short tonight, or do y'all want the take? I'm going to give you the take. And I didn't even sculpt the take. I'm just tired of getting the response from what is the goal of college football? Because to me, the goal of college football is to find out who the best football team is that calendar year. That is what makes this sport great. Who was the best football team from fucking September to January? Not who was the hottest team November through July or January. If I wanted that shit, I'd watch the NFL. I love college football because your butthole puckers up in the middle of November because Georgia's only up 10, Kentucky's got the ball, and the ball's on the plus side of the 50. That doesn't exist. We go to 12, it doesn't exist. Georgia gets to write their ticket in every single year. Most of you, not all of you, not you people showing up right now. I'm talking about the margins, right? The ones who really, really depict your athletic budget, for real. The ones who decide whether or not that year they're going to take their grandson to his first college football game. Those people, the margins, they don't come if there's nothing on the line. The diehards show up every single time. The 35%, 40% margins, they don't care. If they know 10-2 gets me in, and midway through the season, they're 11-0, 10-0, and there's 2 games left, they're gone. You know how I know this? Because we have a 64-team bracket in college basketball. People kept putting that in the comments. My God, I want to pull my teeth out. Oh, somebody tell Brooks there's a 64-team college football basketball bracket. Yeah, and guess what? I ain't watched a damn hoops game since the freaking college football playoff committee made me watch one. And neither have you. So quit lying. Quit lying to all of us. If it's about ratings, that's fine. That's why we're going to it anyways. But don't sit here and tell me that just because we go to 12, it gives somebody, a smaller school, it gives Iowa State a better chance to win? No. It gives Iowa State a better chance to upset Alabama in the first round of the playoffs as a 12 seed versus a 1 seed, or whatever the hell it would be, a 12 seed versus a 5 seed. That's great. Upset stories are awesome. Guess what? We get them in mid-September every freaking year in college football. That's why it's great, because we get highly televised football games midway through the season because people love the shit. And it's on the line right then, right there. Tennessee, Alabama, 45-42 on the line. Tennessee, Georgia, college game day in town, college football playoff, guaranteed stamp spot on the line. That stuff does not exist the moment we go to 12. You turn your TVs off right now. The 270 of you watching, y'all aren't here. Y'all are going to do other things. I know this because the moment we went to 4 in the college football playoff, y'all stopped watching bowls. I stopped watching bowls too. We all did. When the prosperity and the parity reached a point last year when Alabama was skull dragging Cincinnati, and then we turn around and Georgia's doing the same shit to Michigan, everyone wanted to either complain about it, talk about how great Georgia and Bama were, or dread the matchup coming if they weren't in the SEC, the rematch of the SEC championship game. Like all this stuff's so predictable, man. And sorry if I have a shitty tone because I love this stuff. I love the fact that we sweat it out for 12 weeks. We sweat it out for 12 weeks. It's pure agony. Tennessee fans, pure agony. We don't get to watch that. Tennessee still gets in. Their ass is going to be ranked 9th tomorrow, 10th. They still get in. And you still have to look at that puke orange the rest of the year. Why are we rewarding flawed football teams? That's not the point of this. The point of this is to watch and find out who's the best weeks 1 and by the end of it. It's a gauntlet in college football. It is not survival and peak at the end. That's not what we do. That's not why this is great. This is great because we hold it on all year long. It's a build. It's a survival mode and a thrive mode. And you got to be great. Boom, 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 boom. We're asking 18 to 22-year-olds to be perfect for 15 weeks. That's awesome. That's the beauty of this shit. I love it. We'll see you guys next time. Love it. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out. If you're not already, subscribe to patreon.com/Brooks Austin. We will be over there tomorrow and the next night breaking down film. See ya.